All right, so let's talk about cookie session middleware. All right, so remember or recall that when we request a resource from a server, we get a request, right? We send a request to the server, and the server sends back a response. Well, technically in HTTP is what is considered a stateless protocol, which means that it doesn't remember anything about the previous request. So if we request a different resource, technically all the information about the previous request is gone away. Now, how does that play into a web application? Well, if you think about it, when you go to a web application for a bank, right? If we didn't have any session, every time you request a page from your bank, i.e., if you want to go to your account, see your account, or then you want to do a transfer, each time you go to a different page, you would actually have to log in again so it could get your credentials and find your information. All right, so a session allows us to maintain information about a particular user throughout their usage of the web application. Generally, we want the session to start when they visit the first page and log in, etc., whatever, and end when they close the browser. All right, so the cookie session middleware allows us to handle simple sessions with cookies. All right, so the first thing to note about is that cookie session relies on cookie parser, so you would need to require cookie parser before you actually require cookie session. All right, then we're going to create our express. We're going to specify that we're using cookie parser, and then we're going to specify that we're using the cookie session. All right, we have to attach a secret to the session so that we can identify a particular session. So you'd use something like a random value here to actually identify a different user. All right, now this first route, let's jump to the second route actually. So this second route, which is restricted, right? When we use cookie session, it's going to add a property to the request body called session. All right, now we're setting a property on that session called restricted and setting it equal to true. All right, so technically if we were to go to another page without using session, this property would disappear, but because we're using the session, it's going to maintain its value to another request, as we'll see shortly. All right, so here we're saying if not request.session.restricted count, so we have no value in the count, we're going to set it equal to 1, or else we're going to add 1 to the existing value. All right, so then we're going to redirect to the library route. All right, so that technically is a new request response, so it wouldn't go away. In our case, it's not. So here we're logging the cookies, so in case, what we should see here is the value, any cookies that we have. All right, now we're checking that restricted property on session, right? So if we visited restricted and we're maintaining our session, then the value of restricted should be 1 or greater. All right, so if it is 1 or greater, we're going to specify that they've been to the restricted session X amount of times. All right, or else if they haven't been to the restricted page, we're just going to say welcome to the library. All right, and that is all to the cookie session. Take care.